This week's topic is the word Anatta, which equals no soul. That's what the interpretation of Anatta means, that there's no soul. Today's brothers and sisters who share, and I don't want to single out any sector of religion or spirituality, they go around teaching that there is no soul. It's so counterintuitive to understanding physics and metaphysics that it's simply impossible. And that's by the end of this presentation, I'm hoping that you will all understand the message and how simple it is to know the soul. The question for the day we just finished with everybody was who, what, where is your soul? Got a lot of awesome responses. And I'll probably be saying some of the similar words, and you taught me a few, and then I'll be sticking in. I'm going to start off with a story that Ken Wheeler shared. It says, like two monkeys in a treetop, one argues that in the fall, the fruit will drop off the tree and rot, and they will surely starve. So these two monkeys live in a treetop, so they don't go down. So we will surely starve and die, and he should and can do as he likes here and now, for ultimately all will end at winter's arrival or death. So just think about the analogy, right? Whereas the other equally ignorant monkey says, assuredly, that there will be a new batch of fruit next year, next life, coming back again, reincarnation. And if they take care of the treetop, there might even be a better or more fruit to eat next year. In other words, you're good, you're doing really well, you get to come back, it's a new life, reincarnation. Both of these heretical howler monkeys in this analogy, which spend their entire lives in the tree canopy, wheel or round of rebirth, are ignorant on the grounds of being the means, the midmost, the concentric, the soul, or root of the tree itself. Like two fools arguing over whether the glass is half full or half empty, instead of pondering where the water faucet is, which filled the glass to begin with. That very water faucet, or the source, the root of mind, is the soul, the fixed and unchanging mast or post of true being, or the unseen productivity of the fruit, which the ignorant howler monkeys are unaware of. So he's telling you everything that you see, where did it come from? What is its source? Like we said, the soul is everywhere. And the atom is a field. And the field has that little point in the middle, which connects everything to the ether when you learn physics. The unseen seer, which that Brahma, which makes things become, but itself is unbecome. In other words, the soul is unbecome and unoriginated, is for the adept imbued with wisdom to be fixed in the soul. So in other words, we've come from the soul. We're not the soul. We don't have one. There's no possession. We're fixed in the soul. For him who finds it, that rare or few, that sage, the arahant or worthy, has crossed beyond birth and death, both and either being or not being, are without meaning for that which does not partake of spatial temporality. In other words, taking up this space temporarily, being in manifest, being become. So that which does not partake is unbecome, unborn, unmade, unseen. I will be posting this image in our Metaphysics in the Bible. So this way, somebody wants to read it again. So pains the fool who thinks himself so. This is me. This is who I am. This is myself. For he perishes in so mistaking. The illuminated, this body is the illuminated, the light for the soul, the light with a capital L. Gautama, for 45 years, taught the way to light, the capital L, by wisdom, and that one ought not to confuse death with immortality. Illumined from the illuminator. We are the illuminated by the illuminator, the light, the unseen light, the black. The not self is the Anatta. The self is the soul, or Atan. So Ken's got this Nikaya passages where he translates them all. This is just a little excerpt. I know this is a bit of writing and some reading of it that may or may not sit well with you. So it's just basically saying that the only way to find refuge is in the soul, being back one with the soul. We'll talk a little bit more. So that's Ken Wheeler, again, with his radio analogy, right? We're just receivers from the soul. If the radio breaks, like death, there's still a signal. There's just no body. Who is Gautama Buddha? Just like Jesus, they made him literal. Right? There's actual people that were good scribes, awesome enlightened beings, achieving Christ consciousness, achieving Brahman. They're saying Gautama Buddha is the fourth of the five Buddhas to arise in the world cycle. Notice he's got a halo, like the halo around the sun and the moon right now. This is a state of being. Buddha is not a being. There is the materialistic self, us, trying to associate with something that's material. No, it's a state of mind, state of knowing. So just some quick math on just showing you that when you start the Phoenix Rising, where we get many more people who are enlightened, the revelation comes to us, this understanding that we're not the self, we're not the soul, and we need to find refuge in it. If you take 558 years, when every time this comes around, where we get this revelation, it comes out to about 209 BC. When you look up in Wikipedia, they said this is around 600 BC. Well, then you keep reading from Wikipedia. They said there was no written records about Gautama were found from his lifetime or from the 1 or 2 centuries thereafter. But from the middle of the 3rd century BCE, several edicts, Ashoka, mentioned the Buddha, but that's plural. In other words, around that time frame when we had the Phoenix Rising, 209 BC, when this enlightenment, loving energies come to remind us who we are on this journey. Here's their misinterpretation. They're saying, due to this view termed Anatta, the Buddha's teaching was opposed to all soul theories of his time. So there you go. The people who teach Buddhism currently are teaching that there's no soul. They're misinterpreting the word anatta. But anatta, as you will find out, means not the soul. If you study Ken, there is inside the translations the term anatta literally hundreds or thousands of times where it's saying, this is not the soul, that is not the soul, this is not the soul, that is not the soul. What he's telling you, if the original Buddha doctrine, which is just a scribe, not a real person, it's just people who are scribing this like we're scribing to ourselves, trying to teach ourselves. We want to be Christ conscious, we want to be Buddha, we want to be Arhat, we want to be Brahman. To be Buddha, to be Brahman, is to use via negativa to say, this is not my soul, that's not my soul, that's not my soul, this is not my soul, this is not the soul, that's not the soul. And Ken clearly says, why didn't they just say, if they didn't believe in the soul, they would have just said it once, there's no such thing in a soul, and continued on with their teaching, like they do today. But back then they didn't. They kept saying it over and over again, this is not the soul, that's not the soul. They're just showing you that you can't find the soul. It's not, doesn't have a locus, it's everywhere. So we're going to skip over to the Bible before we continue. Book of 1, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, Thessalonians. May your whole spirit, soul, and body be kept blameless at the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. They're saying whole spirit, soul, and body. When they say the coming of Lord Jesus Christ, they're talking about the next time we get to have the enlightenment of being Christ conscious, being Brahman, being Buddha, being in that mind state, that state of mind, which is happening now because we're upon a Phoenix Rising. Coming of the next enlightenment is what they're trying to say here. And they're also saying, they're trying to say the whole spirit, soul, equals the soul and the body. Well, they're really just talking about the 0, 1, and the 1. Tammy did a great job of showing us the walk around the circle of 60. This is the first 3 digits of the Fibonacci golden ratio series. The 0 is the all. everything. This is your subconscious mind, your conscious mind, the yin and the yang. But the zero, the all, the encompassing all, the point in the middle, that's everywhere, is the soul. Whether you prefer to call it, this is from Ken Wheeler, whether you prefer to call it spirit or otherwise is of little consequence. It appears as many compounds of singularity as atta, true self, immortal element, i.e. spirits, or essence undying. A dictionary of Pali by Margaret Cohn, Atan, Sanskrit Atman, the self, the soul, as permanent, unchangeable, autonomous entity. We also looked in the Bible for the word your soul specifically. There's 69 points in the Bible where they say it's your soul. So you can see how they mistranslate that implies possession. No, that's impossible. That's materialism. So he shows you from the Nikayas, his translations. He's got just pages and pages and pages of his translations because he's like one of the only world translators of Pali, ancient texts. Tathagata is without the mark of all things. Tathagata is another word for arahant, Brahmin, Christ conscious. He dwells upwards within this signless and flexured mind. So in other words, without mark of all things. In other words, no materialism. Therewith Ananda dwell the soul as your light with a capital L. With the soul as your refuge, with none other as refuge. So you can't seek refuge anywhere except with the soul as your light. The soul is what illuminates you. And what keeps you here is because of you're still marked of things. We're still attaching to materialistic things. In really simple, with all the words that we speak, the only way to prove the soul is with via negativa, saying this is not the soul, that's not the soul. And looking for the essence of all things, there must be something there, which there is. There's one thing that I wish Ken would say. The soul is love. Because you can't define love. You can't show anybody who, what, where is love. You can only say, I'm full of love. Yes, you are. You are infinite love. And the more we detach from things, the more we attach to being nothing but loving, then you have refuge soul. That's what's really important. It's everywhere. Everything else that is manifest out from the essence of pure love. There's only two dimensions, love, and then in manifest, lack of love. So the only way back home and off the infinite wheel of going round and round is to find that love again. To know love is to be love. We've shared this picture before. The field, oh, sorry, I was hoping that that's there. The field, the middle, the point in the middle, that's the shape of a field. That's the shape of a magnet. It's the same thing you see down below of a magnet. The point in the middle of every atom, every cell, the medical industry makes you think of cell as flat. It's not, it's a field. We're all energy. Every single point in our body is made up of an atom. It has that point in the middle, which is pure love. The rest is us and manifest in being those things. So this is knowing where that water came from that made us into this body, into that space. I'm now going to jump to what's happening in the sky today. And then we're going to have a little bit of some housekeeping and then go into questions. Here's one of the reasons why the whole world doesn't understand this Phoenix rising. 95%, I'd like to say it's a lot less than that, but right now 95% probably sounds about accurate of the people that use astrology are using it wrong. In this picture, you don't have to follow this, but just listen to the words. But for those of you who are learning astrology, this is the most important thing for you to ever know. I'm going to show you some more proof in a minute. It's the spring equinox. Everybody know what the spring equinox is? The spring equinox. The sun in the summer travels on this ring. The summer, for those that are living in the north, you can see North America right here. I'm not sure if you can see this, but I'm making the sun go around the circle, the yellow circle. That's summertime. And it keeps spiraling round and round like a record player, and it moves out to the green. And that's fall, the north of the equator side. And then in the winter, the sun is further away. So summer, spring, winter, then when it comes back, it's fall. So right now, we're coming into the spring, the equator. That's where the sun is right now. On March the 20th, makes the spring equinox. In the sky, no astronomer in the world would argue that the sun was in Pisces. Okay, right here, the sun is in Pisces in the sky. What the tropical guys do is they keep adjusting the zodiac such that it shifts so that it's always aligning with 0 point Aries. They're taking the spring equinox and they're thinking that it always has to exist there, but they're removing a clock called precession. While that's important, they've misread translations, and that's what led everybody to do this astrology in the not proper way. They're missing the point that 0 point Aries is a special time when everything rises on the ascendant. That special thing is called the Phoenix Rising. I'm going to show you what happens. So right here is showing the moon with the sun rising in the east. This ASC means rising in the east. The mother and the sun rising at 0 point Aries is what they show, but there's no moon at her feet. When this event happened last time, it was March 21st, 1925. And this is what they base their Easter on. A calendar there, and they'll start doing 40 days, Lent, blah, 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 right? That's where the misinterpretation comes from. So this is a big mistake to do this. Revelation 12 doesn't show up. That's why they couldn't predict this pandemic, which is a cleanse from soul, from pure love. This is our prediction, showing that we're going to go through a corona chakra cleanse that we did. Here's the video. It was published December 2nd, 2019. We knew this in October 2019, that we're going to be going through some very crazy times, and we're going to be getting enlightenment. All right? So how did we know that? That's because we're using the correct astrology, not the tropical astrology. The tropical astrology is a misunderstanding of the house. The 0 point Aries is house 1. That's immovable. That is our path back home. It can't be randomly wandering all over the place. It's a different clock. So I just wanted to share that with you, because this is what's happening on April the 15th, 2023. We get to learn about one love again. We get to learn about our refuge in the soul. We get enlightened so we understand that the soul is really pure love. And the only way to get there is with pure love. This is Revelation 12:1. I keep repeatedly saying this because it's important. And somehow I dropped the moon over here in that text. Revelation 12:1. Now appeared a great sign in the heavens. We're talking about in the stars. A woman, there's Eris, clothed with the sun, there's the sun, with the moon under her feet, right there. This doesn't happen in the 1920s and the 1900s, which would have been the Phoenix Rising using the tropical. This is why they missed it. But somebody knew. Well, Spirit knows, of course. Spirit's holding the hands of the profiteers. But this is what's happening April 15th, 2023, and it happens every 558 years. We're getting enlightened by pure love. That's where we find refuge. And the only way to get to that refuge is use your heart as light as a feather, no matter what gets presented to you. 13 more months before this event happens. There's a lot happening in the sky that I'm going to save for future weeks. And just really quickly, something really cool to break the ice that somebody shared today, that they're doing this for flowering using the planets and the moon and knowing when to plant. So we're going to study this as well, and that it's really cool that we can see, if you want to give that plant, that seed, the proper essence of love, you got to follow the stars. That's the hidden message here. So everything is showing us the way back home. Everything is showing us where the soul is. It's pure love. It's pure love. And detaching from thinking that it has a locus, thinking that I am this or I am that. You want to say more like, I seek refuge to pure love. And as you seek refuge to pure love, you'll become pure love. And the attraction to everybody around you becomes pure love. So keep those images pure, keep those thoughts pure, keep those actions pure. Lots of tests coming for the next 13 months. A bit of housekeeping. If there's anybody that wants to volunteer for a testimonial video, audio, or text with your first name, initials, and where you are from, this is Spirit Group. Unity is asking for this, and they want to show people on the April 9th orientation. So if you want to be a Spirit Group leader, signed in with Unity, if that's something you're interested with, they give you orientation on how to conduct these meetings. Probably can do maybe a better job than I do. You're more than welcome to attend this open orientation. It's 4 hours on Saturday, April the 9th. I'll post it once we get the finalized timing.